Anio, welcome to the pod, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, good. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to chat.
Yeah. I mean, you're building something really cool, and you've been in prediction markets for a bit, I believe. Um, and I was reading up on what you're building, and it's cool because I think it's the first time I've seen like a house model applied to prediction markets, which is really interesting. And we can get into that a little bit, but maybe we start off with maybe like a quick intro about who you are and kind of what you're building.
Yeah, sure, 100%. So I first got into prediction markets at a hackathon. I think it was probably going on 2 years ago. It was with, you familiar with the Settler blockchain? The the application was basically how do we make a user app that will be helpful for an African population. And we built a prediction market with one thought in mind that like people have very little information on what they're trading. But if local people can share insights that help the community more broadly, it's like it's sort of a win-win situation. You're trading what you know on, and companies or like that data becomes valuable for the broader ecosystem around you. Um, my history, my background, I've very much been deep in crypto and DeFi since around 2020, just before just before NFTs went wild. But I was working for a traditional like cross-border payments company, so just learning about uh, DeFi and such, and then mainly been in software as a service or DeFi B2B sales. Yeah, last project I was on was Relay Network. We were doing stablecoin vaults on Morpho, lending out USDC against different assets. And then I joined the Profit team towards the end of last year, where we actually pivoted from another protocol, DeFi restaking rewards, and we thought like, what can we build that actually has product market fit? Obviously, prediction market space is very interesting at the moment, um, but we ran into the liquidity problem straight away, where how can like every market someone needs to take the other side of the trade. Like, which markets do we choose to back? What happens if we open a market and there's no trading volume? Then there was models that came out like Rain, where you had a curator and they could create their own market and put liquidity in. I played around with it, love the idea. I was pushing for it quite hard, and then the question was like, if you are creating a market, do you not already have an outcome in mind, which is why you're creating the market, and now you've got to trade against yourself in like a delta neutral position just so other people can trade. And our CTO, Ivan, he was like, we can just get AI to do it. And it took us probably like a day or two to clock like AI can just be the counterparty if we give it a bankroll. So we've spent since December cooking up the product. Like, I would say MVP turned into V1 over that time, because there's really just things just keep getting unpacked as the development process goes. And our product is built on two assumptions. Like, one is that at some point AI will be better than humans at predicting the future on almost anything. And two is that there's this long tail of prediction markets that users have never been able to consider, because you've always been limited to trade whichever markets are available at any given point in time. So yeah, we launched beginning of last month. It's been moving. Like, we've had a bunch of markets created. We have users coming on board daily. Um, we're breaking little milestones in terms of the number of markets live at one time, but the liquidity is still very constrained, in that we offer maximum win of $10. We know that our algorithm isn't perfect in generating these odds, and we're sort of looking at it as we paying school fees to winning traders, so we can understand where we're pricing things incorrectly. How can we take in a week of trading data and adjust our algorithm to offer better odds, or we limit certain odds that are where the outcome can be manipulated. So yeah, we're very much in the early stages, but it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting. I mean, so basically you bumped into that liquidity problem as you were trying to solve prediction markets, essentially, which is like do I have that right? Or was that more with the DeFi the DeFi
No, it
part?
was, yeah, it was very. I mean, we were looking at stable coins. We're like, do we need our own stable coin? How will that help? If we can do like a fractional reserve. I see Polymarkets launch PUSD, which I haven't looked too deep into, but I assume it's fractional. At least they're earning interest off the back end, but none of them seemed to make sense because we knew what we wanted, which was for us to be able to type in a question and take a trade, and for someone to be able to match that trade. So it was sort of the like we had the like how we envision prediction markets to look in mind, and then we just needed to solve for who is the counterparty, how does the counterparty work.
Yeah, that's fascinating, to be honest. I mean, this is the first, again, it's the first time I've seen this model in action. I mean, you guys are going in a completely different direction because everyone else is kind of doing the club order book model of kind of like trading against another trader. My guess would be it's because they're trying to preserve like house edge or something like my guess would be because it's difficult to preserve house edge in this model. That's just I know nothing about it though. But is it difficult to kind of do that? Like, is it difficult to build that model in this, for prediction markets?
I think like for the bigger players in the space, to some level, we assume that they already are setting the line, in that when the market's posted, it's not always 50-50 off the bat, and there's research that gets done behind that, and the order book is created by market makers. So there is some level in the existing state where like those lines are already being set. The only difference is the user isn't choosing which markets, but they are choosing, because there's the process of like you can get a market listed if you can show enough interest in it. But if there's one person that's interested in a market, obviously it doesn't make sense to put liquidity in there unless you have some potential upside. In terms of like how the numbers actually look,
This is the site, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but just letting people know that this is your site that's up right
yeah,
now.
this
Yeah.
is our site. If you go into to create market there, I think it's under the logo on our stream, but it's top right.
I might have to sign in for this. Do you
Yeah,
want to? Would you be able to share your screen? Would you mind? I can sign in, but I don't have any, funds in my account.
yeah, for sure. Let me share here.
Because I think it would be cool to check this out. I mean, it's a great site. I mean, like I'm like it's very like straightforward in terms of how
Yeah,
things are set up.
yeah, there we go. Sweet. So if you have any question about the future, like we will Polyfactual post uh, let's see if it does this. We've been tightening and loosening like how lenient our AI is with outcomes. Like initially, there was ways that we got gamed where someone was spinning up a Twitter account. Will this Twitter account post this, and then the Twitter account would post, and obviously we would resolve. We've run through situations where there's like different. Okay, cool. Yeah, Polyfactual post referral code on X by
That's
June
so
20th.
interesting. Wow, that's really cool. So you can basically ask anything. You can set up a market for
Yeah,
literally anything you can think of.
exactly. Yeah, that initially that's what was crazy, and then you come down to like it's live, and now it's like, well, what do you think? Like hit me with one.
Let's do. Oh man, see, I'm uncreative. This is where I get stuck.
Yeah, exactly,
uh,
exactly. So
I guess we could do.
this one's live. Let's loop back to this. So
What
it's
will
giving.
SpaceX be by the end of today? Will it be down or up? Okay, this is
That's
loud.
a good one. That's a good one. But so this is saying we get a 320% return if yes, and we get a 2% return if no. But obviously your max win is $10. So yeah, I can trade. Here we go. Yes, because I reckon this might happen. And then markets live, you can share it while we're working on the next update. We'll be able to you will be able to add additional liquidity, but also the trading fees from each market will go back to the creator of the market, or half of the trading fees. Will SpaceX?
So how? Yeah, this is really interesting. I mean, in terms of just how it's working, and I could see it work because again, you're not playing against another trader, so that is kind of eases up the liquidity aspect. How are you resolving these? Like, are you doing it in a decentralized way, or is it more of a centralized process? And again, like we could get into a debate on whether or not decentralization even really exists and the resolution
Yeah,
process.
let's not do that.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. But so you see it basically, if the question isn't phrased right, it still will loop you back, and then sometimes you have to adjust it a couple of times to be sure. Otherwise, it won't be able to validate the question. And the validation process is to make sure that the AIs can resolve it correctly, because we have a panel of LLMs. They each give a yes or no outcome. Did this event occur or not? It's up to the person who asked the question to specify the resolution criteria effectively. We have had some situations where there's a draw where, like, out of the six model, or out of the five, out of the six models, like two will be uncertain, two will say yes, and two will say no. And in that case, like what happens at the moment is people just get their money back. But there's some partners that we've been looking to work with that are solving this problem, because in itself the resolution process it's a deeply complex problem. So we might look to work with them towards the end of the year, but for now, we just resolving it using 6 LLMs, and they each post their reasoning behind it.
Yeah, and I think that the way that you have it set up where people can set their own resolution criteria is really interesting. Would you kind of judge how much you pay out based off of the rigorousness of of a criteria? Like, for instance, if someone says like, oh yeah, well, my resolution criteria is just, I don't know, my friend will say whatever. How do you kind of prevent people from maybe spamming the system or scamming the system?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer that. I'm just gonna try get this thing to work, because
Sure.
like we want. So now I'll put the exact resolution source. Maybe that helps. We tightened it a little bit too tightly in this last one, and now we have to loosen it up again. But just your previous question was regarding the resolution criteria. Oh yeah. So we can't decide how much to pay out at the end, because we commit capital once the market is opened. So what it does is it takes into account, we have three different factors. One is how sure the model is in the answer. So the model will give itself a 70% confidence score. The other one is how easy the outcome is to be manipulated. So there's also a score for that goes into the initial odds generation, and that helps. Let's say if the models were all had very little confidence in them saying what the odds were, we would bake in a greater house edge to mitigate that risk. But Yeah, so not at the end, but at the beginning, that does get taken into account. Yeah.
So in terms of like, um, people being able to use it, like I can create a market and then I can share it with other people, and then those people could also trade that market. Um,
Yeah, they can, but because to be honest, at this stage where we're at, the main game is trading against the house on new markets. The secondary markets on as I think it'll be up 10% for sure. Um, but yeah, that's decent. That's decent odds. Um, but once we're able to add liquidity, these markets aren't as liquid as they will be. Like these volume $6, volume $12. It's still like 1v, like player versus
mhm.
house. Someone has to sell their position for you to buy it, which like after the market is live in the future, we might look towards some ongoing odds generation where if we think the odds have changed of SpaceX going up because it went down 5%, we'll sell some yes shares, or we'll buy some no shares based on like rolling, like some rolling feeds.
I've seen some other people do this, and I know that this space is going to take off, right? This permissionless, I can create a market. Maybe other people are able to trade it on like in some sort of secondary way. And like me going into prediction markets now is not as a trader, but as a market creator. And I'm earning fees off of creating those markets, right? Like this is a whole new category of making money off prediction markets that we haven't actually seen manifest in full form yet. Do you see this as being like big in the future? Like, do you see this as being maybe bigger than trading? And what does it look like at scale if that were to
I,
happen?
I think it could be big. I mean, the interesting thing that we've seen is we had like he's a student. He deposited $600, and he purely trades World of Warcraft and Valorant markets because he can't not they're not listed anywhere else. He watches Twitch streams of these games. He's deep in the community. It's what he's all about. And for him, we had a chat with him, and it was the case of like, this is where I think I can make money. This is my passion. So the I think it will become pretty big, but how that looks and why it becomes pretty big is still an open question. Like, is it Pokemon speculation? Is it like little league football games? Is it like we don't know exactly how it will happen. I think it'll definitely become obvious in certain niches where there's an overlap in like the fans of that niche and like the interest in trading on the outcomes, because not everyone, like at the end of the day, not everyone's a trader.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was looking at like the other day. I was looking at the SpaceX, whatever. Everyone's looking at SpaceX right now, and the chart. And I was just like, I could trade this and I could probably make a lot of money if I were playing these swings, right? Like it went up to like 200 something and then went down to like 150. Yeah, I could have made like 20,000 on that on leverage or something like that.
Yeah.
But the reality is that I don't know the chart well enough, right? I just don't know the chart as well as I know that, like Solana, for instance. I know that chart much better. I think we're moving into this time where people prefer to trade the assets that they know, right? Like, when I first got into retail trading on Robinhood, everyone would trade the same things, GameStop, whatever. But I do think we're moving into a time where people are like, I prefer to stick with the assets that I know. Maybe that's World of Warcraft, maybe that's, whatever, esports, maybe that's, you know, like Little League Baseball, like you mentioned, maybe it's something like super, and that's the vision that I see for Polymarket. And I think we only get there with permissionless market creation,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I think I would imagine Polymarket is working on something along these lines, and it's just a matter of time. Our main view and where we think we can potentially hold an edge is that you can do as much back testing as you want, but until you have actual users trying to game your system, you don't learn. So if we can have a couple months of extra learning, that helps.
So I believe you guys don't have a badge. You guys don't have a Polymarket badge, which means that you're neutral to Polymarket and Kalshi right now, and you're also building maybe I'm glitching out here a little bit. Maybe you're building a competitor to them. Like, would you say that this is like a competitive model to their model?
I would say we're going after a fundamentally different market, where, like, if for any trader who wants to trade a market that's live on Polymarket and Kalshi and wants to trade it in size, we can't compete. And it will be a long time until we're able to compete, because the liquidity is not here, and it's a liquidity situation. But we've had some users that haven't used a prediction market before. They hear about it, they like the idea, and they're coming here to create their own market, not necessarily to trade existing markets. Like, there's a large portion of our users who've only created markets and not traded markets, and that's sort of the sector that we'll be focusing on until we have the secondary liquidity brought out. What platforms like Rain did, which is interesting, is they became more of an infrastructure provider, where now they help other prediction markets because they've already brought everything out. So it would be a positive future for us if we were able to help on the infrastructure side for these bigger players. I mean, yeah, it's hard to imagine being a real competitor to Polymarket at this current stage, just because they're so deep in it. Like, I think it's like, what, 6 years old or 5 years old. We've been live for a month. But one metric where we are catching up rapidly is the number of markets that are live. Like, I think Polymarket's on 6,000, Kalshi's maybe 8 or 9,000. But we had 2,000 markets created today, and which is like, that's obviously, you can't measure, like, it's not our trading volume, our liquidity is not measured on one feature, but I think when it comes to the amount of markets listed, we'll rise to number one, like, at some point in the next 6 months.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, you could almost see it as sort of, I was thinking about this the other day, like, people create meme coins, and Pump.Fun built a business off of basically just making it easy to launch a meme coin. Again, going back into this permissionless market creation, that could be similar.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's also why people like prediction markets, why I like prediction markets more than I enjoy trading meme coins, although I do enjoy trading meme coins, is that you can't get rugged, because there's an outcome that happens and you get paid or you don't get paid. It's not, or is the creator of the coin going to sell? Like, if he sells his shares, cool, the odds change, but the outcome still is the factor that determines you at the end of the day.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, and it's interesting, right? Because with meme coins, people have almost found a way to unlock, like, I don't even know what to call it, like information arbitrage, I guess, which is, I create a meme coin around, let's say July 4th is coming up in the United States. There's probably going to be a bunch of meme coins about that, right? And you already know, and some of them are going to run. And maybe some of them stick around, like Neat, right? Neat stuck around. It represents that meme, which I forget what it stands for, like not employed something. I forget. But every time that AI is discussed and talked about replacing people's jobs, it gets a kick, right? And I mean, I see these as no different, right? You create a market, maybe a long term kind of prediction event for, like, polyfactual. How many referral codes is it going to give out, like, in the next week,
Yeah,
like 6 months?
or we can do like will polyfactual hit 20,000 followers on X and DNX. Yeah, literally anything. I mean, when it's only so little liquidity, the useful benefit in terms of hedging something is not quite there, but it becomes an interesting concept once we start opening up like certain types of markets, because we know, like, let's say asset price predictions, we become confident that those outcomes are not easily manipulated. So we say, instead of backing a market with maximum $10, we'll back like that category of markets with $1,000. So we, like, once we start to open up those, like, basically the amount of liquidity per market, I think the incentive to surface new information and to actually be able to hedge, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what kind of markets start getting created, because we have no idea.
So the other dimension to this, of course, is the AI aspect, right? Where, you have this AI which people are constantly betting against. I'm curious about maybe exploring that a little bit. What are your plans with that? You mentioned earlier in the conversation that you believe that AI is going to outpace traders at some point in its ability to make predictions and actually be a good forecaster, especially based off this data.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely already happened. Like, the best human forecasters will be forecasters that are aggregating information with AI and then drawing their conclusions off that. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's as isolated as we think. Like, at the end of the day, we're going to be trading against other sophisticated players with their own AI to see if their odds are better than our odds. Like, for years, it's been the case of which algorithm is the most effective, like, is able to capture volume or fees or arbitrage opportunities, whatever it may be. We may see a future where we have to, like, strictly limit to human users. But yeah, our main conviction there is that it'll become more intelligent than humans. Humans specifically, because we're so emotional. Like, I want something to happen, so I think that there's more likeliness of it happening, but it's not. We don't make rational decisions, as seen by the amount of foot traffic in casinos. Like, people are just going there to have a good time. It's not necessarily a fully thought out decision. And I think most people using prediction markets, like, it's fun to be in a market. Is this going to happen? I've got something riding on it. It's an enjoyable experience. Obviously, there are players that are purely there for profit, which is fine. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the gap between our most profitable and least profitable traders grows, and how the continued use will be. Like, is someone who's winning 40% of the time still using the app every week, or is someone who's winning, like, like, all this information is so new to us, but the insights will be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and what you just mentioned is kind of something that I think about a lot, or that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I wanted to get your take on this. I was talking to a trader the other day, Gollum Gecko, and I was asking him about, old poly market versus now, right? Like, what was it like to trade, in 2024 and 25, early 25, before the hype cycle really kicked off and we got all this new liquidity? And he was like, oh, well, there were, you could find bonds for like 60%, right? The rewards were much better. Now, like with prediction markets, you're seeing, now you can still find that, right? Sometimes. But with prediction markets, you're starting to see like, and again, it's a new asset class, so maybe this is nothing, but you're starting to see kind of like smaller and smaller reward opportunities, maybe because more people are kind of piling in to the for example, bonds, to the high probability events. Do you see this happening with prediction markets? Continuing that trend, and also, is it a risk for your platform? Do you think if your AI gets good enough?
I see what you're saying. It's basically like you're now trading odds that seem so fairly priced that it's not obvious which side to trade. It's like
Yeah,
you see 70-30 odds on an event, and you're like, you know what? I think it's 70-30. Like, why? It's not such a sure bet, a sure trade. But where that breaks down is sports and these other, yeah, pretty much sports. Like people aren't trading sports based on probability at all. I would assume that my assumption would be that a diehard fan would take the trade every time because he's a fan of a team, and almost for no reason else, because it increases the enjoyment when the game is being watched, and it's a social thing. But yeah, I think that would be where the future of profit went, in that the odds would become very, very fair in how they're presented. So only and that leans more towards traders will only trade if they have some sort of edge. So if we see, like, let's say in a year from now, we're backing 10K per market, and we see someone opens up 10K on whether or not a politician will step down, like it's an early signal that someone has real information there that they're willing to stake capital on. So I don't think it's necessarily the end of prediction markets, but it is like a more mature state where, like, now the price of gold reflects the value of gold. These event contracts should have like reflect the likeliness of these events.
yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like when you consider sports and the fact that people emotionally invest, and all, it's almost like not even a prediction at that point. Like they're not even trying to get profit. Or I mean, the profit would be nice, but it's almost like an investment in the belief of the team. Which you've heard of incentive markets, right? I think that's what they're called.
Maybe not. Do you want to run through what it is?
Yeah, it's almost like futarchy. I believe it's called incentive markets, again, or opinion markets or something like that, where basically the idea is it's a prediction market, but and like let's say there's a company and the company wants to get something done. They would basically subsidize the position that they want to, that they're trying to, they'd subsidize the opposite position. You would pile in, and basically it'd be like, yes, like it's essentially voting with your dollar, right? So like the idea is it's like a prediction market, but essentially you're almost financing a decision that the company is going to make. I think futarchy can kind of get into this area as well, but it's taking the prediction market model and reapplying it to this idea that it's more of an investment than an actual gamble. And in that sense, I guess there could always be market opportunities. But I thought it was interesting what you said. Made me think
Like
about that.
like an example could be, there's two internal teams at a company that want to take it a different direction, and the company says, "Cool, well, we're going to place this much liquidity in. You guys each get each side, and that's your like incentive for success."
Yeah, I think that that's how it works. I think that that's essentially how it works. I believe they're called like opinion markets or something like that.
Yeah, it's like it's basically a prediction market, but with different parties involved. Like
Yeah,
the parties who are involved in affecting the outcome are also like eligible uh, for the rewards.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Which is it's a completely new take on the whole prediction market thing, because it's because again, we assume that it's people like just trying to win a game or something like that, but a lot of people could just be, it's an investment, and then the sharps come in and then they take your money. So that so that's it's interesting how it kind of works like that.
yeah.
Um, so in terms of your like growth for for what you want to do, for this company, what are your plans going forward? Like in the next couple months, where do you see things scaling? What's the next step with what you're trying to build here? Obviously people can hop on and create markets right now, so it's already live and able to be used.
Yeah, I'd say on the product side, we get a lot of feedback on how things can be improved. And there's also things that are new to us each time we hit a different level of growth, like things that we need to just make sure that the app is always up and it's always working. So that's definitely one of our main priorities. We're also looking at opening. We're not 100% convinced that we've got the final UX for prediction market. So we looking at breaking down our essentially allowing anyone to spin up a front end where they're interacting with our contracts and our house, but they can spin up a new front end. Maybe it looks like a Claude interface, or it looks like there's a lot of chatter around TikTok for prediction markets, where it's more of a news application, because I think at the end of the day, it is interesting to see the likeliness of future events, and if you can create that into a feed of sorts, the platform becomes a lot more engaging. In terms of like actual user numbers, we've had around 14K wallets provisioned. So these are users who've logged in with their email or their wallet and spun up like a Privy account. And then overall, we've had like 6,750 markets created. Yeah, like 20% of this, or even more, like what's it, 30% of this was in the last 2 days. So our growth strategies that have been working are primarily like KOLs. They're like people are on Twitter. That's working really well. So we intend to scale that up, like a nice goal for the end of the month. Or we're close to the end of the month now. End of the month, if we can have 20,000 users and 5,000 markets live, that would be great. Another big metric for us is obviously also the amount of active traders. Like, are people coming back or not? What are the retention rates? A lot of the product work is based on like how do we increase those retention rates, because like long term that's what counts. Other growth strategies that we're looking at is the market fee share. When that clicks on, there will be an incentive for anyone with an audience to create a market, and we'll be running a campaign there where like anyone that has a niche that they want to focus on and are following along with that can apply, and we'll fund their accounts with credits that can be used to create markets. So I think that'll become quite key once the incentives are aligned, because right now like a user's only creating a market for themselves, versus in the future when they're creating a market because they see a genuine interest in people wanting to know the outcome.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think that's when it would blow up. I think that, already it sounds like you're getting really strong usage numbers and market creation, which it makes sense. It's an easy thing to do. You go in there, you ask a question, market's created. That's it. So it makes sense that, basically, for as many queries you might get on an LLM, you'd get, it's just as easy to spin up a market here. So I think that the next step would be, well, yeah, once you add fees, then it becomes like the meme coin scenario, where these things are now able to be vehicles that people can actually profit off of, share and make money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if all it really takes on that front is like one or two markets to go viral, and those creators to make some serious money. Like our fees are 2%, 1% goes to the creator. $1 million in volume is 10K. That market can happen over a week, or even if it happens over a year because someone thought far out and they kept on promoting the same market over and over. It still makes things like the incentives are very much aligned. And it can also be, and like it also makes it clear why someone would add liquidity to a market, because if the fees are coming back to them, then and they think that market will get high volume, it's a no-brainer to add liquidity.
The interesting edge that I see you having in your go-to-market is potentially getting in on the rules debates, right? So like you have a resolution criteria, you've opened up the resolution criteria, you've open sourced it almost. And essentially what you can do is, like, maybe someone wants to jump into one of your markets because they like the resolution criteria better, because it was just crafted better, right, than what you might see on other prediction market platforms. I see that as one of the main edges, right? Because I know how deeply people feel about this resolution thing. Do you see that as something maybe helping you?
Yes, I see what you mean. It's like if a trader who's been trading weather markets for 3 months, he knows better than anyone else what a user wants the resolution to look like and what sources should be used. So then
Mhm.
he would decide, cool, well, I'm going to go create markets on profit because I can have full control of the resolution. And I think other people will enjoy this as well. Yeah, I haven't, to be frank, I haven't thought about that before. Like at the moment, to me, the resolution process feels it feels a little bit up to the algorithm, which doesn't give me a great feeling. But as we've had very little complaints, like less than like 0.2% in complaints on incorrect resolutions. But yeah, it is still an algorithm that can hallucinate. So I don't see that edge being relevant in the short term.
Well, in terms of like, are you venture backed, or are you looking to raise in the next few months?
Yeah, we are backed. We raised for the DeFi project at the beginning of last year, and then pivoted. Yeah, we might do a bridge round, but yeah, we might do a bridge round in the next 3 months.
So I think it's a really interesting product. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys, how it evolves. We do have a few comments here. We have one from Alchemy that this is really great, but how do we contact support if we have issues with a few technical problems?
Yeah, so there's people are contacting us on all channels, whether it's like messaging our main account on Twitter, or the best, most effective way is definitely to open a ticket on Discord. People are also reaching out on Instagram if they're not on Discord or Twitter, and we are responsive. The turnaround time for some bugs takes longer than we'd like, but we do get to all of the support tickets.
What are you guys seeing in terms of volume, like in terms of on each of these markets? Like, what is your, is it kind of like, I think you mentioned like right now it's just starting. So you're not seeing, across all markets, you might see like some lower market volumes, but then you have a few higher ones as well.
Yeah. So if we look at our traders by volume, our top traders are really quite active in generating most of the volume. The other volume is like between $1 and $10 per market. So you multiply that by like nearly 6,700. It's a bit of volume, but like some guys have generated 6K, 2K, 1K volume, and these are on like some guys are over 1,000 trades, over 500 trades, over a heap of different markets. But yeah, I would say what we're optimizing for at the moment is the number of unique traders more than volume, because we want to see markets getting created, and the volume will come in once we add liquidity, because it then becomes like all the arbitrage becomes possible, whereas right now there's no arbitrage opportunities.
Yeah, I'm curious too, and I know we probably have to end soon. Usually we go about 40 minutes. We've got a little bit over. I hope that's okay. Um, I'm curious about what is the biggest kind of payout win that has happened so far, like in terms of like a winning
It's
trade.
$10. It's capped. It's capped at $10
Okay.
because so if you open a house that has a 5x, like if you open a market that has a 5x likeliness of happening, you'll only be able to put in $2, because we will only put $10 on the other side. If it has a 20x likeliness of happening, you'll be able to put in 50 cents. So
I see.
we've capped that's our hard cap at the moment. We think it's like enough incentive for people to try and like game it by trading a bunch of different markets, and the learning is good. But yeah, obviously that's not going to bring in sophisticated traders
Mm.
just yet.
But it could bring in like a number of, it could bring in the creatives, right? The people
Yeah,
that are kind of experimenting, the dev class, I guess you could say,
yeah.
which is an interesting aspect here. And I don't want to take too much of your time. I mean, we've been going almost 50 minutes here. But I'm really fascinated by this, and obviously I'd love to stay updated on it. Anything that you kind of want to share, at the end here, in terms of things that are coming up, things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think follow us on X. The next big release is the View market fee share. Keep an eye out for our competition to become like a funded profit trader, and yeah, we'll drop a promo code in the comments. John, thanks so much for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for coming on, and anytime you want to come on, just let me know. Love to have you back.
Take care up on that. Keep well.